Welcome to the Spoken Token Expansion 2. This time out, Alex flies solo and talks the internet, rulebooks, and you. Trust me, it all fits in the end as we're challenged about the rulebooks we read, the way we look at games, and why we play them. So now, let's get with your host, Alex Wallace.
Okay, and welcome to my first, actually, it's not my first, it's actually my second, because technically I did the very first expansion when I talked about different types of gaming personality. But this, now that we are in a new era of the Spoken Token, and Larry has effectively named these small segments expansions, this is my first official expansion. So with much chagrin, I am talking by myself to myself, hoping that someone will listen. So if I go off the rails, I've got no one to bring me back. So we may end up in Delaware. I'm not sure. Hopefully you will get some piece of valuable information, or at least a thought-provoking moment of pause. Please, not while you're driving. Focus on the road. But if you are sitting at home listening, maybe you'll have a moment of zen. Here's Alex bringing you your moment of zen, board gaming style. Okay, see, again, no one to bring me back. All right, so today I really want to just quickly just talk out loud about how the internet has officially altered the board gaming landscape. As I was preparing for a segment earlier, we were talking about apps, games needing apps to run, which then leads to that you need an internet connection to download the app. But then it sort of opened the door in my research to a broader question of the internet has completely transformed our hobby. It has transformed it into how we play, how we learn about games, what we do in the time between turns even so. So I want to kind of look at it at a global and then kind of maybe bring it into a smaller things just to kind of take apart. And I don't really know what I'm trying to gain other than just maybe exposing you, the audience, to something that maybe you haven't thought about. Hopefully, I don't plan on curing the world of any major evil or not, but maybe this will start some conversations and encourage you to maybe look at your own habits. But so let's look at how the internet is affecting the board game hobby on the global level. And first, it's the medium by which I am delivering you this very message, and YouTube, and all. We have a gluttony of reviewers and commentators and people who are giving you their thoughts so that you can make an informed decision, or what you consider to be an informed decision. So ultimately, the internet is in what we do, in this now, what I'm doing as an example is we are influencing your purchasing habits. Before you even go to the store to purchase a game, your mind is either made up or strongly influenced by multiple sources online, be it Board Game Geek, be it Tom Vassell, be it, us, if you're one of our few listeners, but someone else who you've never met in your entire life, you sit for 15, 20 minutes listening to their opinion. Now, granted, they have done the research for you, and I get that, but you are connecting to them through the internet. And ultimately, if you're anything like me, that's your number one stop. If you want a board game, you go to the internet first, you watch a review, or you read a review, or you look on BGG and you look at pictures or kind of gameplay and that kind of stuff. But your first stop about any board game is typically the internet. And so without knowing it, we have actually removed the original way board games sort of were passed on is through actually playing them. You played a game with someone, and man, I really enjoyed that experience, and I wasn't expecting it at all. I want this game in my collection. So after playing a game in a social setting, you now go to a store to pick it up because I know this is going to work for me. Or even so, like, you listen to, the store clerk say, hey, this game right here, based on what you've done, I know that you play this, I know that you like this, I know that you like this. I really think knowing who you are, you're going to enjoy this game. Or the fun of just saying, I really like the art on that box. This is a heavy box. You can look at the components. You can feel it. You pick it up on a whim. And so there's that level of like, I'm about to pick a game, which, you could say, well, I don't want to spend the money if I don't like the game. Yes, but what I would suggest to you, though, is there are times when I've invested money into a game that I don't initially like, I force myself to go, wait, I've made the investment on this game. I'm going to force myself to play it enough to then make an informed decision. Not just first playthrough, oh, it was boring, oh, I wasted my money. Because that ultimately, that's what we're afraid of. That's why we go to the internet, because we don't want to waste our money. Now, some people go to the internet because they want to be cool. Well, what's everyone else doing? They don't want to miss out on what's kind of the greatest thing. But, there's also the thought of like, you can discover so much more by taking the chance, by being uninformed. Now, that doesn't work for everybody, and I don't recommend that for everybody. But again, you're losing that charm of discovering a gem, if you will. So there, our first stop is the internet to kind of understand that sort of dictates our gaming purchases. The next thing that the internet does is, so this is kind of more on the granular level, is and this is a global, I'm going granular, global. I can't even say that 5 times fast. But as our culture has progressed, we are now on our phones. We're connected to the internet via social. So we are in between game turns, instead of focusing on the game itself and the interactions that happen socially with the people we're playing it. We play our turn, and then we uninvest from the people around us. We look at, we go to our own social media, or we play another game. And again, I am chief center here. I mean, I do that myself. I let myself get distracted, opposed to board games at their essence are meant to be played with people. They're a community event. Unless you're Larry, then it's all by yourself. But for the most part, it's a community event. That is what you agree to when you sit down to play. Yet we allow ourselves to be pulled by the internet. And then the next thing that it does is it lets publishers write really crappy rule books. Oh, we can just fix it in an errata, or we'll put out a new version that they can download. No, write a good rule book first, read it yourself, give it to your grandmother, and if she can't learn how to play your game, you wrote a poor rule book. Don't rely on the internet to do the work for you. Okay, you are a professional. I'm giving you my money, so therefore I want you to do the work. And what brings my mind, and actually what kind of got this whole thing started, is I started looking into First Martian as I was, kind of researching about apps, and the rule book on First Martian is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And you have to know how to play the game for the rule book to make any sense to you. The only way for you to decipher the rule book is to go online. What happens if when, the lights go out, we're not going to be able to play our board games because there's a bunch of really crappy rule books out there that we have to go to BGG to decipher? Okay, so apparently I do need to do these expansions a little bit more often, because apparently I feel like a therapy session. I'm just releasing all of my pent-up aggression and energy. I feel like Larry's laughing at me somewhere going, I told you so, man, I told you so. So, well, if anything, just sit back and ask yourself the question, why are you playing board games? If you're playing board games so that you can play a video game in front of you, then the internet shouldn't matter. By all means, do what you're doing. But if you're playing board games for their original intent, if you're playing for the social aspect, then start to think about how the internet affects that. Put more faith into your local FLGS. Put more faith into your friends and taking recommendations. Put more energy into going out and playing new games with people that you know and actually enjoying the hobby that is created, and learning games that way and helping those inform your purchasing decisions. So, for the Spoken Token and my first and hopefully not last expansion, this is Alex. Keep playing and keep communicating.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you would like to interact with us, please find us at Facebook at The Spoken Token, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast. Our Twitter account is at The Spoken Token. Email is thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com. And our BGG guild number is 2656.